everyone has their own star, and it's just life is a course of discovering that and understanding yourself and expressing yourself.
How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I think the last time I saw you was when you won the
Polaris.
the Polaris.
Yeah, so like 2 years ago.
Man, there's been a lot on the go since then.
Yes, very busy.
So we'll talk a little bit about what you've been up to since then. But congratulations on this album. I really love it.
Thank you.
I am finding it, and not that this is something that you ever have to do. I am finding it hard to categorize. A lot of different kinds of music on this record, a lot of different types of songs on this record. There's songs about anger, there's songs about love, there's songs about freedom, there's songs about ambition. Rather than ask you to classify your own music, I'll ask you, like, what was going on in your life while you were making this record? What direction did you find yourself pulled towards?
Well, with this record in particular, it was like a lot of turbulence is what I would say, like a lot of changes. When I first started trying to make the record, it was pretty soon after Good Luck, actually. And I kept trying and trying. I was like, okay, I need to work on my next album. You know, when you're making music, usually by the time you finish it, it's already been done like a year or two sometimes.
Yeah, by the time you come and talk to me about it.
Exactly.
It's been, you're like years past it.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
And so I'd been trying for a while to make my next record, but I felt like I was creatively blocked. And I think a big part of that was just because I had been on this nonstop touring schedule pretty much since the album came out. Like I was just on tour constantly, always heading somewhere, always playing shows. And for me, like I know some artists who can record on the road, but for me, I need time to be alone. I need to be like in kind of like this, a bubble of some sort so I can focus on the work. And I just didn't have that time. And so essentially what happened was I kind of decided to take a break from touring, and I took some time off and I was writing. And then I had this one tour last year in August. I was going all over Europe, and I was like, all right, I'm going to spend this time in August and I'm going to finish my record because we had a lot of downtime in London in between shows. And I was like, I'm going to finish the record. I'm just going to do it. And that's what I did.
Hold on. So I'll say it. Let me just go through this one by one because there's a lot going on there. So after you make Good Luck, it takes off and it wins it gets a lot of attention. You kind of go from being maybe a lesser known artist to sort of a better known artist, and you're touring a lot. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then you win the Polaris Prize, which I can imagine adds some, and we can talk about this later, but like I can imagine it adds some pressure to the new record. Would I be right about that?
In a way, yes, but also no. Personally, at least, that's the way I feel. Like, I think there's pressure in the sense of like this idea that you're supposed to follow it up with like the same level of like acclaim and like, okay, now you need to get a Grammy, and now you need to get a Juno or whatever it is. But that's just not the way that I see things. It's not the way that I operate as an artist. For me, what was more important was just getting truer, and getting more clear, getting more clarity as an artist. And that's what I wanted to do with this next record.
But when you did get that break and when you did come back to music and you found some time to actually make music again, I do feel like there's a lot of different types of music on this record. I do find that you were kind of going in a lot of different directions. Where do you think that might come from?
It's what I always do. Yeah, it's what I did with Good Luck. Like when you listen to the album, there's all sorts of genres, everything on there. And then same thing with the Starrr of the Queen of Life. It's just the way I am.
Were you listening to different kinds of music for this record than the last one? Did you have different sort of North Stars in front of you?
Yeah, different inspirations and influences for sure. Like I was listening to a lot more pop music.
Yeah,
more
I can hear that.
Music.
Yeah,
because I also feel like I had this idea of like, all right, I have made experimental work pretty much like the majority of my career. Like if you look back at my previous EPs and my first album, it's like all of it is like experimental. I even made like a noise EP, that's where I come from. That's like my bread and butter. But what I wanted to do was figure out a way to kind of bridge the gap between like experimental and then also accessible and just allowing more people into my world. Like I don't think that I'll ever be necessarily like this mass
Katy Perry.
Exactly, like a mainstream kind of thing. But I love pop music. I listen to pop music. This is one of my influences. And I was like, what would it be like? What would like a Debby Friday like pop song sound like? And so I wanted to push myself and challenge myself and try to do something different, something new.
When you say push yourself and challenge yourself, what's the hardest thing about making a pop song?
Making it catchy and sound like something that you want to play on repeat, I would say. Because it's easy to make a song that you can like listen to once and you'll be like, oh, that's good, that's great. But for something that you want to like play over and over and over again, that's a whole different beast. And then also making something that like the average person would be able to find an avenue in towards that, you know? And that's something that I've always admired about pop music, is that it can take these really complicated emotions or like complicated things that you want to convey, and it kind of boils them down to its basic parts.
Yeah.
And that way everybody can partake in it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So how about let's go through some of the songs.
Sure.
Okay, can we get the first one there?
Poetry and nude selfies. Love the way that you know me. Touch the back of my right knee. Tongue you down just like Delphi. Poetry and nude selfies. Love the way that you know me. Touch the back of my right knee. Tongue you down just like Delphi. Skin to skin with no buffer. Write your name on my bumper. Call you baby my lover. Kiss you hard in the summer. Skin to skin with no buffer. Write your name on my bumper. Call you baby my lover. Kiss you hard in the summer.
I can hear pop music there for sure. So that's 117 from Debby Friday. Tell me a little bit about that song.
So this is a love song, and I think this is like the first like true love song that I've ever written.
Really?
Yeah. Usually I'm writing like heartbreak songs and just like revenge, that type of stuff.
Spite songs.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
I'm an emotional person.
I
Like
understand, I
I feel
understand.
things intensely.
Sure.
And so with this song, it was like basically the first love song I think that I've written. And it's because I feel that like that's just like the truth of my life and where I'm at right now. Like I'm in love and I am in a really happy place. And so I made a song about it.
Is it hard to write songs out of happiness? Is it harder to write songs out of happiness or love than it is to write about the other stuff?
It's harder because maybe I'm not used to it. I'll say that.
You have to offer something different about yourself.
Exactly. And you have to be more vulnerable too.
Yeah.
It's way more vulnerable, way more of like showing people like another side of you, which I'm not always comfortable with showing this side, just because I think that this side is the side that's like my softness, like my sweet side, which if you know me in real life, like actually that's who I am. But I think a lot of people when they meet me through my music, like they see like the hard side, the rougher side, like the side that's more like this powerful, like, can I say bitch?
Go on.
Yeah, okay,
You
this
can do whatever you want.
powerful bitch.
Once you win the Polaris Prize, you can
Yeah.
curse in the CBC. It's okay.
And so they see that side, right? Which is also a part of me, but that side I think came up more as like a self-defense mechanism that I developed earlier on in my life.
It was a self-protection thing because you didn't want to let anybody in or you didn't want people
Yeah.
to see it?
I didn't want to let people in or to see it, and I think there was a lot of fear around being hurt.
Yeah.
I think that happens when you've experienced a lot of betrayal in your life.
Yeah.
And so I just developed this really hard shell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was putting the song out? How was recording it?
It
How's
was
getting
good.
it? Yeah.
It was good. It was really good. Like, so on this album, The Starrr, the Queen of Life, I worked with my co-producer, Darcy Bayless, and he's like a very sensitive guy. And so I felt like that made me feel more comfortable to be sensitive myself. And I also felt like I was really honest in the studio this time. Like when I sat down to write these songs, I was just writing exactly what I was feeling. I really didn't have any filters or any like obscuring of myself or my emotions or I didn't try to say things in a roundabout way. Like I was very direct, and that's what I was feeling with this song.
Let's listen to another song. I have a question about this one too. Could we play Bet on Me? Friday and Bet on Me. The line that stuck out to me is, I don't write all my thoughts down, scared of the permanency, scared of what just might happen if I go ahead and bet on me. What does bet on me mean? What are you betting on yourself?
So this song I wrote right after I made the decision to be self-managed. And so that's kind of what it's all about, this idea of betting on myself and trusting myself and my decisions.
I was about to say the word backwards. That's not the word I want to use at all. Uncommon decision. Typically, this is the trajectory you see. Artist, self-managed, because no one will manage them, putting out EPs, putting out records. They win a big award. and then they get management, and then they get blah 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 blah. You made the decision to self-manage.
Back to winning the Polaris and everything. It's like when that happened, things like that, they bring a lot of expectations and a lot of ideas of what success means and what it means to be an artist. And everybody has their thoughts, everybody has their ideas. But something that is really important to me is just like being true to myself and being true to my vision. Like I have a very strong vision. I know exactly what I want to get out of this career. And a big part of that is like this honesty and clarity in self-expression. And that's not always going to look like what other people's ideas are, and it's not always going to look like what the regular trajectory for success looks like. I think that sometimes as an artist, you have to make decisions for yourself that might go against what people would say is like the common sense or like the common
story, the normal story of how an artist's life is supposed to go that we're told. I understand. Yeah.
But you're going to have to make different decisions for yourself if you want to be true to yourself. Everybody's different. Everybody needs different things. And that's just what I needed at the time. Like I needed to understand what was going on in my business. I needed to really like being self-managed has over this past year has really given me like so much clarity. I feel like I understand my business in and out in a way that I didn't previously.
Okay, if you don't mind, do you have an example of something you now know that you didn't know before?
I understand a lot more about publishing.
Okay.
I understand a lot more about even the role of a manager in your career and what that actually means when you have a manager. I think people don't understand, like you're basically like getting married. You have a contract and you have a relationship with this person. You're going to be talking to them every single day and you're doing something very intimate, right? It's like, this is your career. This is your life. And I just feel like I understand more so as well, like the role of what every other person also brings to the structure that is like an artist's career, because you can't do it alone. That's one thing I know 100%. Like you need people, but you have to make sure that it's the right people that are around you and that, you're all heading in the same direction. You all have the same, idea of what it is that we're doing here. And I've gained a lot of clarity over the last year of what it is that I want to get out of this.
You're betting on yourself with the knowledge that there's always a chance that there's failure. There's always a chance that, is that what you're saying?
For sure. And I'm not afraid of failure. Like I've failed a million times in my life and I'm sure that I will continue to do so. But you need failure in order to be successful. You need to try things. You need to put yourself out there. You need to take risks. And I'm not afraid of that.
A lot of work, man.
Yeah, it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I won't lie. It's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of work.
I hope you take that in the way I mean it, which is like good on you, but it feels like a lot of work. Yeah, I bet.
It's,
a lot of emailing.
For sure. A lot of emails, a lot of days spent staring at the computer. But I know that it's not forever. There will come a point where I will have a manager again. It's just what I needed to do for the moment.
What's the best part of it?
Of being self-managed?
Yeah. Betting on yourself.
Getting to say no, and nobody questions you or is like, why, or are you sure, this and that. You just get to say no, full stop. I love that.
I gotta figure out how to do that. I'm not very good at that. I gotta figure that one out. I want to talk about Good Luck now. So the last time we talked was for Good Luck. As I mentioned, it won the Polaris Music Prize, the most prestigious music prize in Canada. You talked about having to take a step back afterwards. But take me back to the night. What do you most remember about that night when you won? Did you have some awareness of like, okay, things are about to get crazy? What do you most remember?
I just remember feeling very much like I was in some sort of fairy tale or something. It felt like very unreal. Like it didn't sink in until a few days after that I had won. And it was kind of twofold. Like one, of course, I was very happy and very grateful. I was just so happy to have won this because it's something that I wanted. It's like I remember writing it down, like goals, win Polaris Music Award. Yeah, that was one of the things I really wanted to do, and I thought it would happen on like my second or third album, but it happened on the first. And I'm very proud of that. I will say, like, I'm so proud of that. Like, I don't know, there's not a lot of people who can say that they've done that. And at the same time, there was this feeling of like, when you have something that you're like, this is your focus, this is your goal, this is what you're moving towards, you accomplish it. And then you're like, well, what do I do now? Where do I go from here? Yeah, exactly. And I had a now what kind of moment. And then I also had this moment of I don't know. I think I had ideas of what I thought it would mean to win the Polaris Prize. And
Like
when
fame and fortune, or
I don't even want to say it like that because like I'm a realistic person.
sure, and it's
But
Canada.
exactly,
I understand.
exactly.
Yeah,
You know,
right. I
yeah.
understand. Yeah,
But I
okay.
think a little bit. I think that there was still a part of me that was naive in that kind of way. And then the reality sunk in, and it's like, well, no, now you're going to be asked to basically continue touring nonstop. You're not going to get time, you know, to yourself for certain things. Like, there's a whole other like list now of things that you're expected to do because you've won this. And a lot of it is just like other people's ideas of what it means to be a successful artist. And I had to take a step back and realize I was like, okay, wait, for me, success doesn't mean that I have to tour all the time. That was a big thing for me. It was just like, I don't think that I'm the type of artist that is going to be like 24/7 touring. Like, I need time to myself to work on my art. Like, I actually need like time and space. So I have to figure out a balance of like where I can tour and, you know, play shows, but then also take like extended time off.
Well, it's funny. Sorry, you might be wondering why I'm laughing at this moment because it's not a very because when you won, we had just talked like 3 or 4 weeks before, I
Yeah.
think, and we had talked about introversion and how we're introverted. And I have this memory of you telling me that like I had to get away from all of my friends. I had to stay away from everybody.
Yeah.
And I had to go to like, I think it was a basement or like
Yeah.
by yourself for a very, very long time and sort of get it like really, really isolate yourself from everything.
Yeah.
And then the reason I'm laughing is because I remember when you won the Polaris Prize, I was like, oh no.
Same thing.
You
Yeah.
look like that's going to be harder to do.
Yeah, it was way harder to do.
Yeah.
Because, you know, people want to see you. They
Yeah.
want to see you. They want to celebrate with you. And I did all of that. Like, and I'm happy that I did. But then after a couple months, I was like, okay, I need to go back to my basement. Like, I need to, yeah,
Did you burn out?
100%. I did. I
When-
got sick.
When? Oh,
actually.
I've done that. When did you
Yeah.
burn out?
So right after Polaris, I went on tour
Yeah.
again. And it was basically at the end of 2023, like I completely burnt out. I got sick. I got shingles while I was on tour.
Yeah.
And it might not sound like it's a big deal, but the thing with shingles is that it also comes with like neurological pain and like all this like nerve stuff.
Yeah.
And that scared me. It scared me so bad because the idea that I could get sick in a way that would prevent me from doing what I loved, like that, I was faced with that reality. And
That you could get sick from doing what you love that would
Exactly.
prevent you from doing what
exactly,
you love.
like that really scared me. And I was like, oh, wait a second. Like, I need to take better care of myself. I need to figure out like there's like a limit here that my body is trying to tell me that I have, and I need to listen to that. And so, yeah, after getting sick that time, I was like, okay, I need to take a break. I need to space things out. And I kind of like I started taking breaks, but then I had this entire touring schedule last year. And it was just a lot. I burnt out completely. I got really tired. And then that was why I was like, I need to finish this album. And I had to take time off. Yeah.
What's the best thing you did during that time off to give yourself some healing?
Getting to be at home and also getting to be in Toronto, because I moved to Toronto in 2022 and I just was never here. I was always on tour. I was always on the road, always traveling. And so I didn't feel like I was actually in the city.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until basically last year that I felt like I actually got to spend time in the city and start feeling like I was part of a community, you know, that start feeling like, okay, here are my people, you know, I get to see them once a week or however many times. Like I actually felt like I was grounded in a place for the first time. And so that was really important for me.
Do you hear any of this on the record? Do you hear the reckoning of the last record and everything you learned or you had to learn by burning out, by sort of reacquainting yourself with ambition, the values of it, what you will say yes, what you'll say no to? Does that show up in this record at all?
Yes. I think it shows up in the sense of like, you can hear that I'm much happier on this record.
Yeah, I might say that.
Yes. You can hear that I'm much happier and that I'm also, I feel like there's a kind of freedom that you can hear in it as well. And it's like this freedom around just like expressing the vulnerable parts of me, expressing also still like the cool bitch parts of me, and just like there's a freedom around expression. Like I don't feel afraid to tap into different things now, and I'm happier overall. And I feel like this record is a lot lighter
Yeah.
in tone
Yeah.
than Good Luck.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of comments about that, like from my friends and stuff when I've played it for them. And so, yeah, I feel like there you can hear the growth. You can hear just like everything that has happened over the last 2 years.
Let's listen to one more song before we go. Can we play Higher?
My love for you so psychogenic. Hold me close so I don't panic. Keep me up, I'm in hysterics. If you be good, I'll let you tell it. Infatuation, autotelic. No need for patience, get domestic.
That's a little bit of the song Higher by Debby Friday from her new album, The Starrr of the Queen of Life. I put it there. We put it there at the end of the conversation because in addition to, I think, also being a love song and another song about intimacy, but I don't know. I also hear it as sort of like you did it, like a bit of a celebration of yourself and what you got through there. Am I onto something?
In a way, yeah, for sure. This was a fun one to write. And I had fun recording it. I had just fun like making it, producing it, everything.
What's
yeah.
it? What? I mean, I can be wrong too, by the way. If I got it wrong, you can tell me. But what is it about?
Higher?
Yeah.
Just having fun with your baby and like just being in love and flirty and just like, you know, I'm going to take you higher to like higher dimensions and all this stuff.
I'm here.
I could go into like a whole like philosophical thing about it, but really it's a flirty song.
Well, here I am CBCing it up and overthinking it and being like, oh, it's higher because it's the summit because she's gone through this thing. She's gone through a higher.
I mean, sure, right? It's up to you,
Sure.
the interpretation.
Oh, I really do.
Yeah.
But you know what? On it's up to you, the interpretation. You have described this album as a mirror, reflecting not just your own experiences, but holding something up to your listeners too.
Yes.
So I won't take too much of offense if I got the analysis of that song wrong. But what do you hope people might see in themselves when they listen to these songs?
I hope that people see themselves. So for me,
Oh,
there's a
interesting.
whole thing, like I have an entire philosophy around this album and around this idea of like being a star. And I've kind of talked about this. I've done these like song diaries for each of the singles that have come out. And in one of them, I was talking about this and this idea of the star. And a lot of it has to do with my own reflections on my career, my aspirations, you know, and even just like being an artist. They always hold up this carrot of like, we're going to make you a star. We're going to do this. We're going to make you this. We're going to see your name in lights, all this stuff. And it's like, what does that actually mean? What does it mean to be a star? And I feel like over the course of making this album, I've investigated that a lot. Like, what does that actually mean to me? And a big part of it is, again, this clarity, this honesty. And I feel like that clarity and that honesty acts as a mirror for the listeners to then be able to see themselves reflected in that and know that, like, if I'm a star, you're a star as well, too. Like, it's not something that just one person or a few people possess on this earth. It really is something that everybody has within them, and everyone has their own star. And it's just, life is a course of discovering that and understanding yourself and expressing yourself.
But what is it? Can you boil it down? Like, what is a star to you? When you say I'm a star, what do you mean what do you mean by that for yourself? This new definition you have
for myself. Well, it's different for every person, but for myself, back again to this thing of honesty and clarity. Being a star means expressing myself as honestly as possible and expressing myself as clear as possible, allowing myself to shine, allowing myself to just be who it is that I am, and not being afraid of that, and not being afraid of other people's reactions or, you know, like interpretations of that, like really just being as authentic as I can.
You know, I have always admired, from the first time we talked when I was getting ready for that, like your, I want to say like lack of care about anyone's expectations of you. I am now getting a more nuanced portrayal of that, which is that, yeah, it does affect you. Yeah, and you can't help but get in there. But I love that. I love where you landed on it. You landed back to yourself and landed in, no one can tell me what to do. Yeah. No one can tell me, I don't really care about anyone's expectations of me. I'm going to make the art that I make. And I really admire that about you. I always have.
Thank you.